Hey folks, how's it going tonight? I brought a brother of mine on tonight. It's an important brother. It's a man that I've known for quite a while. And what we're going to talk about tonight is CERT, Community Emergency Response Teams. And we're going to talk about the good and bad of it, about how they do things and why they do things. And I'm looking very forward to this conversation so you guys know what it is. It's probably going to be only an hour because he has things to do, and I have to get to bed too. It's a later in the evening cast, but I've wanted to do this with him for a while, and finally he's agreed. How's it been going, Dan?
Brother, it's been going good. Fan-
Outstanding.
yeah. Man, we've had scheduling conflicts beyond all thought and belief, and I didn't think it was going to take this long to get it together. I really didn't.
Well, we got it together, brother, and that's the important thing. So, I'm a CERT trained trainer, and
Okay.
he is also a CERT guy. He was not trained by me. He lives in a totally separate county, and that's important to note. But we've seen the deficiencies, and we also know the efficacy of this. So that's why I think he's so valuable to bring on. So go on, Dan, and tell me your background, your experience, a little bit of that good stuff for the folks to know.
Okay. So, I like Kaiser. I did my fair share of time in the military. I came out, and when you're in the military, you have all these great plans of what you're going to do when you get out, and then when you get out, it doesn't always pan out.
Right.
So life doesn't always go the way that you want it to go, but most definitely been involved in numerous aspects of fire and EMS. So have a very James could tell you from my numerous images, and those of you who know, when you hear my name and when I start talking about images, those of you who know anything about me know exactly what I'm talking about. I have probably an excellent knowledge as far as fire and EMS goes. Man, I would like to be able to go do some other training and stuff. That's been so long since I've done any of it. So, but to get back to what we're doing here, we're talking about CERT, and CERT is a community emergency response team. Now, this is the curriculum is put out there by FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, but this was designed out in California. I think it was back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yes, it was
But
the 80s. Yeah.
yeah, it's during the 80s, and it came about during the earthquakes, and I believe it was LA Fire, LA County Fire, that went ahead and wrote this out, probably much like everything else that we do a lot of times. Those of us who think beyond the curve, it typically starts out on a napkin.
Yeah.
And every idea that doesn't ever start out on a napkin is not a grand idea. I'm just going to throw that out there. So,
You're right. But
a
but
grand
the funny
idea is on a napkin.
but the funny thing is CERT actually, here's where I'm giving flowers to him, and you know this. I'm giving massive flowers that they actually did something for their own people. They were the first in the nation. Look, California, always, for good or bad, and I mean that literally,
Right.
they are always the progenitors of what's going on in the United States. It will cycle down to flyover country all the way to the East Coast. And the interesting thing that you brought up when you said that is they have the 72-hour kit was for earthquakes. And we are on the new matter of fault, but we don't have many earthquakes. I mean, the one earthquake I experienced in Ohio, where I'm from, And I was underground at I can't remember the name of the cave. I wanted to say Old Man's Cave, and that's not right. It's out there, way out past where I live in London. And, you know, I was a little kid, and we came back, and I'll never forget. My aunt and my uncle were like, "Did you feel the quake?" No, we were underground. And it was funny as heck. And then the quakes that happened when I was stationed in California at Camp Pendleton, I was driving every time a quake happened. I was driving, and all it felt like was a flat tire. And being a stupid Ohioan, I would pull over thinking I had a flat. And I'm sure the Californians were just like, "Okay, moron." But the thing is Dan's pointing something out very direct. They had the 72-hour kit first. We gotta love that. And they also started CERT. So carry on, Dan.
So the idea behind this is you're not going to save the world, but what you are going to do is you are going to be able to go ahead and team up and be a point of contact, because a lot of the people that you're going to come into contact with will not have the same training as you. You might find a few off-duty firefighters. You may find some other people that work in different capacities. When something like this happens, chances of everyone getting to where they need to be is going to be zip, zero, zilch to none. It's going to be the gridlock. It's going to be the gridlock that you see in the movies. It's going to become extremely real to you at that point, in that everything, and it's not going to be that crazy chaotic. I really don't believe that, but a lot of people aren't going to know what to do. So the CERT folks, all they do is, we're out here, we're trained, do everything from search and rescue. We can render basic first aid. We don't have any fantastic equipment with us. It's a very, very bare bones kind of a thing. Now, before we came on, we were talking about the dreaded backpack.
Right.
And the dreaded backpack and the bump cap. And the bump cap's just a bump cap. It isn't there. It's there to prevent cuts. In all honesty, that's exactly what it's there for. So I know I'm going to have some CERT guys and gals out there, and they're going to say, "Oh my goodness, the dreaded bump cap that has to have you have to go out and buy the $3 chin strap on Amazon for, so it'll stay on your head, otherwise it won't." Which is a very, very, very real situation. Now, where I'm at here in Franklin County, we're getting ready to do some training this Thursday night. Last weekend, I thought we were going to be in a position where they went ahead and they scuttled the training that's upcoming, and that's going to be for Operation Flood Fight. So what they'll do is, once you go ahead and you complete all of your core studies through FEMA, you have to be able to go ahead and show that you have a passing grade on your ISO, Incident Support Organization.
Yep.
So you definitely have to understand, even if you can't walk up, put it on a wall and say, "This is the command structure." Believe it or not, everything that you would have someone do, there's this cutesy little title. You have a hierarchy of some people who do and don't want to go ahead and everything that you do as a household, it falls in that Incident Support Organization, and they have that so no one gets lost and no one gets hurt. So it's really important. If you're really interested in doing any of this, one of the easiest ways to get an introduction into CERT, FEMA, understanding Incident Support Command Organization, ISO is what they call it, Incident Support Organization. Go to FEMA, sign up. It's free to sign up online.
Yep.
Go ahead and take the courses. It doesn't cost you anything. FEMA sends you the little email and everything. I think they've got like little portfolios or something now. I think I was reading here not too terribly long ago when I was looking at courses. But in addition to taking these Incident Support Organization courses that teaches you different things, you will go through a class, and the class is going to go ahead and depending on your county, a lot of times these classes, when they're taught by your local emergency management agency.
Yes.
So they'll set it up. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll bring people in from other counties. Now, where we're at here in Franklin County, I think the classes stay pretty full. It's been quite a while since I've been there, but the books that they give you, they have two different books that they hand out at these trainings. They have one for veterans,
yep,
which I do still have. I don't have the trainer one, but then again, my knowledge is probably a little bit more excelled quite a bit compared to what some people have when they come into the classes and everything. But
correct.
So you've got the two different books, and it's still the same training, but what they have to do is they have to account for the number of civilians versus veterans that they push through these programs. So you're going to learn a little bit of everything in this. You're going to learn about hazmat. You're going to learn about light search and rescue. I went ahead. I worked with one of the groups out of California, Team Rubicon. I went down a few years ago and down to Paintsville, Kentucky, and worked down there with the muck out crews and everything. And I mean, CERTs and Team Rubicon, they're okay, but they, their per diem structure and the way they pay it out and the time that you have to wait in relation to the people that have to work for a living, it makes it really tough.
Right.
It makes it extremely tough. So organizations like Team Rubicon, when they went ahead and they saw my pedigree, they were like, well, it's good that we have someone like you that has this much school, this much practical applications of things, because of some of the work that I do here in Franklin County with my freelance photography. I see command structure straight up. One of the things that Kaiser's going to tell you,
you can say James, it's okay.
Okay, sorry, man.
No problem.
But one of the things that Kaiser's going to tell you is that while I'm a grunt, I come out here, I do what I have to do. I have two different set of optics that I work with. I work from the grunt aspect, but I also look at it from a command structure due to my freelancing and some of these other things and these other opportunities that I've capitalized over over the last 25 years. And it helps when you have that officer mentality, that when you go to start to do things, you have a very clear understanding. And instead of having it be someone that runs up and says, oh my God, we've got a disaster, is someone that walks up to it and says, shit, this is ugly, but this is what we're going to do. So it's chaos. We don't have orders we don't have battle orders or anything like that here. But what we do is, for those of us that are familiar with the orders of battle and war and things like that, we kind of combine it into one thing when we go into a situation like this.
Yeah. This
is really, really, really good training. Anyone recently out of the military or anything like that, this is really a good, your employer finds out you're part of the CERT team. I went ahead and I, last weekend, went ahead, made my HR people aware of this, and they were like, you have time to do this? Well, yeah, because if something happens, I'm not going to sit at home on my ass and collect dust. I'm going to be out here trying to help somebody. So most definitely you cover a lot of things. Hazmat's really important in these situations. We were talking about the tool that you use to shut off meters, water lines, things like that. In my CERT bag, it's very different than what a lot of other people are going to have, because I have a bare bones toolkit. I have channel locks. I have a pair of locking vice grips. I have large, small, fine screwdrivers. I can put everything into one section of it, and it really isn't even a huge deal. But it's those articles that puts you a step above everyone else that's out there in that group with you. And when your leadership sees that you have these additional assets that you put in that bag, on top of your hard hat, your vest, any of the rations that you bring with you. You know, CERT is one of the things that they do push really big is come with 72 hours worth of food.
Yes.
Come with a minimum of 24 hours worth of water. Now, water is heavy when you start toting that around.
It's 8 pounds per gallon.
8 pounds per gallon, and they recommend a minimum of a gallon to 5 gallons a day, if I remember right. I know I know when I was in the military, you know, in the desert, they expected you to drink copious amounts of water. Yep. And if you didn't pee clear and you peed yellow, they would about waterboard your happy ass to get your urine to look right. So it's really important, because when you get out in that stressful situation, your body and the way that everything in your body is going to metabolize drastically different than what it is, because it's a stressful situation. It's going to be a go, go, go kind of situation. And when it's not a go, go, go kind of a situation, you're going to be sitting around and you're going to be catching a little bit of Z so you can get ready and go do the next thing. You may not sleep for a while. When this stuff starts to happen, you're not going to sleep for a while. I remember when we used to do flight deck ops, and they would go ahead and they would have us out on the back of the boat, and we'd wait for those helicopters to come in and out. You're out in the middle of the ocean at night. Sure, Ruski can go ahead and see that you have a lit cigarette, and they can see, man, a lit cigarette on the ocean. The naked eye could see. Here's a weird fact for everyone. On the ocean, the naked eye can see a total of 21 miles. This is why I know the world isn't flat. Your eye can see 21 miles. You can see the curvature of the earth as you move towards an object.
Yep.
A lit cigarette is like the torch of the Statue of Liberty lighting up New York Ellis Island.
Yep.
And for anyone that's ever been out at sea, and I'm not talking about land, because and Kaiser could tell you, there's a huge difference the way that light dissipates on the land versus what it does over the water. It magnifies it greatly. It is a great, it's like a mirage, basically. It's like a waterborne mirage, and it just makes everything so much bigger. So the bottom line, what we're telling you is be prepared. Don't depend on someone else to bring this stuff for you. Don't depend on someone else to be there, because you're expected to be part of a functional operational team that entire time that you're there. So these little things, they make a very huge difference.
Yes.
In the scheme of things. Did I miss anything, brother?
No, you didn't. I will tell people the tool you're talking about. It's a magnesium tool. It's non-sparking. It's by on duty. Mm-hmm. It has a gas shut off, another wider gas shut off tool, and a water shut off tool. Remember, water and gas is what you have to shut off for people. Mm-hmm. And it also has a little axe end, but that axe end is only to pry open something. And then on the other side, it almost looks like a hammer. It has a stiffened back curvatured side to lift and pry. And all it is, and this is why it's so important that we talk about, this came from the California culture, where they're expecting earthquakes, but it's irrelevant when you think about you're still going to have to deal with those same problems or being problematic. You're still going to have to deal with those things no matter what's happening. So go on, Dan. I just wanted to elaborate on the tool.
Oh no, that's okay. Absolutely. So also in your bag, you're going to have, I think I have my bag down in a bit. Guilty as charged. So I can tell you a little bit what's in there. They'll have like a fanny pack.
Yeah.
I'm updating my stuff I'm going to have some different things. If we ever get called up, they're going to ask me if I'm getting ready to go to war. And I'm going to straight tell them, hell yeah, we're going to war. We're going to whip this bitch and get it done. So let's stop talking, get those feet and those hands moving. Let's go ahead and get people assigned and get them rolled out so we can get this job done. There's different ways that you can carry. We're going to do another cast on this here in the future. We're going to go ahead and do one where I update and we talk about the things that I add new to my kit. It's going to go ahead and it's just going to be a very, very different show. You have a basic first aid kit. This is your first aid kit.
Yep.
This is the first aid kit to render to anybody else but yourself, teammates if necessary. Yep. Now, what I did was I went and I bought a watertight, it's a watertight Plano box is what it is. It has 3 handles. It makes it so nothing will ever get in there and ruin it, because the box that they give you from CERT, it will never last you. It will never last you. I mean, that's just but it is going to be useless.
A lot of the stuff they give you is junk. I just posted something that I'm going to produce on my page, t-shirts.
Okay.
And what those t-shirts are the Ohio area, and it's for all 88 counties. And it looks like 2 broken chain links, actually, if you look at it. But I had help designing it. Mm-hmm. And what it is support the sheriffs and the fire departments. Mm-hmm. They work together. When you have an incident command happening, the fire department's the ultimate people that are gonna make sure this stuff happens. But the sheriff is the ultimate authority in every county if it's a disaster. Mm-hmm. And this is important, and nobody understands how deeply important this is, that they have a contiguous relationship with the fire departments, no matter if they're volunteer or, and remember, CERT's volunteer, and the sheriff's department. So everybody knows who everybody is. And
you know,
it just happens to be that there's 88 counties in Ohio, and I will support every sheriff, even if they disagree with me completely politically. Most people I have on my podcast probably disagree with me vehemently politically, but I will always support them. All right, sorry.
No, that's okay. I was the big mouth and interrupted you. Let me see if my CERT bag is where I believe that it's at. I just wanted to go through some of the things, because, you know, while you're not out here to save the world, while you can't save everyone, it's what's for the greater good.
Yes.
You get to know what you're going to have in it, because you're going to be faced with a few things. You're going to need some eye protection.
Yep.
I encourage that you buy your own.
Yes, especially if you have prescriptions.
Right. There are some really, really great goggles out there that you can use. We'll do some future broadcasts. We're going to go ahead and throw some product pictures up of the things that I update my stuff with. I already carry a bunch of stuff in my personal vehicle, but most definitely always have a couple permanent markers with you, yellow crayons. If you have the idea, if you understand and you've been through the training, you understand how structures are supposed to be marked.
Yeah.
So people have been in and out. I'm also certified as damage assessment. So there's a whole stream of things that come out of this. You always have to have paper. If you have to send a runner with messages, and I know someone said runner and a disaster, absolutely, because this is what's going to happen. It is going to take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours for your ham operators to get to a point. If we lose if we were to ever have another situation like they had in New York, keep in mind during 9/11, everything went down, everything went out. It was all gone. The cell system, it was all gone.
But
The
you
guys
know, it wasn't the ham operators. And
Right.
I encourage everybody to get their amateur radio license. I have one. KC8UOI.
I'm not enough to pass my test.
Well, I'll help you with that later, brother. But the whole thing is, we have an ability in this country still to assist, and that's the whole thing that the military police credo was assist, protect, and defend our own.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, I'll let you go. Keep
Oh
going,
no.
brother.
So we got things for eyes, your own personal protection, gloves. Oh my goodness, my wife about had a fit. I bought a pair of gloves. You can't rip them, you can't cut them, but you know they were every bit of $75. Well, we'll talk about gloves. We'll break down some of the equipment here in the near future. I know someone's going to say, "Oh, I got my mechanics gloves."
Yep.
Start rooting around in debris. When you start moving heavy pieces of stuff around to get to people or to be able to take a look and go in buildings and stuff, trust and believe that pair of mechanics gloves or that pair of Oakley gloves that you bought for $75, $85, it isn't going to stand up to it.
No.
You also go. You're also going to go ahead and use those gloves as a means to be seen, because when you're out there in these zones working, you don't have street lights. You don't have street lights anywhere. It is going to be freaking dark. It's going to be blacker than the inside of a cat's ass. And that's duration.
You're not going to want mechanics, Oakley, knuckle gloves like an operator uses, right? But what you will want is some, and I'm not talking welding thick gloves. You're going to want leather gloves that are thick, but not super thick. It's almost like the same kind of gloves when I was a union iron worker and tying rebar. Those are the type of gloves you want.
Well, this is what I'm going to tell you. I was able to locate the manufacturer and everything. The best ones on the market right now, as far as I'm concerned, and I have several friends who teach auto extrication and technical rescue. They're called Hex Armor.
Okay.
HE Armor. And they have different gloves. They have extrication gloves with long cuff, short cuff. They have one with a barrier glove. They're about $57. But these are the gloves that when you start doing technical rescue, these are the things that you want, because some of these gloves, like the barrier gloves that I just discussed, that Hex Armor has, and if you buy a pair of Hex Armor gloves, buy a size down. If you wear a pair of L large, buy the next size down. So I wear an M in Hex Armor, and the only reason that I knew is because I went to enough shows and tried on a few pairs to be able to go ahead and to have that. So Hex Armor has about 4 different models of gloves. They have on the back of them, the back of the gloves have a tendency to be very fluorescent green. These are great gloves if you're ever in an incident and you need to direct traffic or tell people to come and go. The palms of these gloves, they're red, so they have multiple purpose. They have multiple disciplines that you can go ahead and utilize these for. And some of these are very waterproof. The barrier gloves are waterproof because of bodily fluids and things like that. So these are all things to keep in mind, that if you are a CERT member and you are listening and you think that, well, I'm going to buy these knuckle gloves, or I'm going to get these PIP extrication gloves, or the Shelby extrication gloves and things like that, I'm here to tell you, you'd most definitely want a pair of Hex Armor, because I wore them when I was down in Kentucky when I was running with the guys during the flood down there in Kentucky a few years ago with Team Rubicon. These are gloves. These are real gloves. These are no garbage gloves, and these things won't wear out and tear forever. As a matter of fact, I believe if you tear them, you can send them back, and they'll send you out a new pair.
Nice.
Footwear.
Nice. Yeah.
Yes. Hex Armor. They didn't pay me to say it. Trust and believe. This is a very on-the-cuff subject tonight.
Yes.
Shoes. Leather shoes. Don't show up at one of my incidents wearing, what's those stupid preppy suburban boots that these guys wear? I can see it. You see them. You see these guys walk down the street in the hood with these damn things on. But don't buy fake leather.
Right.
The boots that I have, they're about $250, $300 boots. They're no joke. They're Tex. They're not fluid proof. They're Danner boots. Had to think about that for a minute too. Kind of got me on there. A good pair of Danner boots for a situation like this. When you go out and you start doing this, you want 8-inch boots. You don't want 6-inch. Now I know you're going to say, Dano, why in the hell would I ever want it? That comes so far up on my ankle. When you start doing these things and you start stretching, you start moving, you start going into places that you're not sure of, and sometimes you're going to find some of that overgrowth in those in there. You're going to find uneven ground. This is a really good way to tear your meniscus if you don't have a good pair of boots.
That's why I always tell people 6-inch is the major length of it, and you can get that with I honestly, I will tell you, Red Wing, I sent my boots back years after I got them. I still have them. There are pictures on my page that had me wearing them, and they were reddish brown in color, and that was in Afghanistan, and they had a steel toe. And barring what I do for a living, the funniest part to me is that these boots, when you come back, they will resole them. If you're having issues with how the upper part, the quick lace part, happens, they will put those new tabs in. And it's at a minor cost, but you're gonna look. Two things are important: your feet, and that's what the shoes, and what I always call with gloves, your hand shoes. And your hands have to be protected, and that's why I'm so glad that you talked about those gloves, because I did not know about those. I just knew that you had to have leather gloves, and they will look, shoes and gloves are expendable, but you want to take care of your dogs, your feet, and you want to take care of your hands, because if you don't have those two, and if it goes into a deeper ground, then that's an issue, and you're out of the game. All right, sorry about interrupting.
No, not an interruption at all. So the pair of Danner boots that I have, I think it was All Point Bulletins, APBs, or something like that. They don't make them anymore. As a matter of fact, they probably got rid of them about a year after I went ahead and I took delivery of them. So this is what I can tell you. Those boots were $235. I recently have been on Danner sites, and that's what they call recraftable boots.
Cool.
Now, money to get them fixed at Danner, but if I ever get to a point that I wear these guys down and I wear them on a daily basis, I can send them off for $72. I can go ahead and get a whole new set of bottoms stitched on the bottom.
Nice.
Go ahead and get new soles and heels put on the bottom of them. Now those recraftable boots at Dan are run a minimum of anywhere from, I think, $350 on up now. So Danner boots, you're going to get what you pay for. They're made in the USA. Thank God something's still made in the USA.
Like Red Wing.
Yeah, just like Red Wing. But, you know, these are important things to have. If you don't have anything else, these are the things to have, because that protects you. You're no good if you're hurt, if you're out of the game.
Yeah.
That does zero purpose. That's just like operating out in the field while you're still in the military. If your unit's down a man, someone's going to get hurt.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. And I know some of the brothers that you keep are probably shouting up and down, how the hell did this guy know?
Yeah.
Been there.
Well, it's because you've been there, done that.
You got that shit straight.
I know.
But you definitely want to go ahead. You want to keep yourself in the game. You want to make sure that you stash an extra cover. And for you civilians out there, that's going to be your hat. You want to stash a spare hat with you. Don't take a hat that grandma gave you when you were 14, because that's a memento. That's not a hat. That's a memento. Keep that at home with your important stuff that you want to keep there. But when it comes to when you're working out there in the field, make sure you have a hat. Make sure you have at least a couple handkerchiefs with you.
Yep.
I'll keep that. What's that crazy rag I see you wearing all your pictures, brother?
Oh, well, that's a in Arabic it's a qutara, and some people will call it different names, but anyways, that's from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, so I know that's what they call it.
Okay.
And
so
I laugh about it, but it's not just one handkerchief. I found them online, and I tell people all the time, my students, I have several of them, they're handkerchiefs in America, and you can get them with survival things written on them. Because look, if you are in a major survival issue, you have to filter water one way or the other. The old-fashioned way, you know, rock, smaller rock, charcoal from what you burned, and then it goes into, you know, a cup, a canteen cup. And that's why I tell people, have a canteen cup. Even if you don't like a canteen, you're using anything else like a Camelback. Always filter your water that way, at least to get rid of most of this. And then you have the iodine tablets to make sure you clear everything else out and let it stand. And like I say, I hate experts, but that's just basic guidance. And the best part about those kerchiefs is that you will have, look, if you're dehydrated, your things are happening, or you're cold or whatever, your mind's not going to work right. You will have to read something, and you might as well read something that's going to help you. And that's my 2 cents. So that's all I have to say.
That's no big deal. One other thing I encourage you to put in your pack, and you're like, my gosh, that's a lot of stuff to put in a pack. You're right, it can be, if you have your pack organized correctly.
Yep.
It doesn't take up a whole lot of room. If you focus to what you're doing and you understand what goes in what compartment, this is not a big deal. It's not a big rat's nest or anything like that.
Right.
Now, we do know sometimes we'll see incidents. We'll see people be handed bottles of water. You're going to be like, gosh, just water? What you do is you get, and anyone that wants to get a hold of me, Kaiser help you get a hold of me, little bottle of doTERRA.
Yep. Great products. Always doTERRA is great products.
doTERRA lemon oil.
Yep.
Make sure you buy the digestible one.
Yes.
The other stuff, it's going to rape your stomach. And I mean, it's going to rape your stomach. It isn't going to be, I mean, you'll wish that you'll want to sentence the bottle 10 to 15 years after you take the wrong stuff. But it's like a 15 milliliter bottle. And I know that I have one in my tack bag in the daytime. I take into the office with me.
Yep.
But I can go for 2 months with that. And I'll make up a couple bottles a day out of that. But something like that, and the reason behind that is, number one, the oil is real.
Yes.
Number two, it doesn't give you any bad additives or anything. It doesn't give you any of those stupid sweeteners and stuff. But what it does is it puts just enough flavor in it that it helps your body move along and keep everything processing.
Metabolize it. Yeah.
Metabolize it, absolutely. The other good thing to have that you keep in your bottle, you keep in your pack, two more things. I encourage that, well, three more things that you can go ahead and you can put in your pack along with that. Get a bottle of orange oil. It's a stress reliever. You get out in these situations and you start feeling it, you're going to need it. The third bottle I want to tell you to get, it's a bottle of peppermint oil.
Yes.
Peppermint oil is a great headache reliever. I know I'm starting to sound like an engine now.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Here's the funny thing. doTERRA has one of these products. I can't remember what it's called. But if you rub it on your head, it's got peppermint oil, all these different kinds of oils on it. I have some here. All I'll tell you is something ease. Past tense. Past tense, that's what it's called.
Okay. All right.
And it will stop a headache quickly. If you have migraines, whatever, it'll lessen it. So
absolutely.
That's absolutely, look, there's a reason why oils were always mentioned in the Bible. And also in the Quran and different places. So if there's something to it, then you might want to do it. Anyways, go on. Sorry, man.
That's okay.
I'm not trying to screw your roll up.
Now, not me. I'm just, hey, man, you know me. My radio show, I'm live without a net. This is all extemporaneous. This is nothing. I don't even have anything. I think the only thing that I sourced so far tonight that we're talking about is extrication gloves, and that's it. The other thing I encourage you to have is peppermint oil.
Yep.
Peppermint oil, you can go ahead, drop that into water, helps kind of change the flavor of your water. But what you can also do is you put that across your forehead. That helps relieve headaches.
And it will keep you awake if you're feeling drowsy.
Oh, as a truck driver, we used to keep a big 5-pound bag of that stuff up the doghouse, and we'd always reach over at night. We'd get out of the truck, and it smelled like a peppermint factory. You also have peppermint beadlets that you buy, and the 10 milliliter size from us here. We do the doTERRA thing. You can get those. I think those are like 125, 130 in there. All you have to do, only take 2 at a time. These are very, 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 very strong. Like the Blues Brothers, they said what, it was industrial strength. These are industrial strength beadlets. The max that you need to take is 2, because if you take more than 2, you're going to think you got a hold of a ghost pepper, and that stuff will get you. The last thing I'm going to encourage that you put in your bag, but it's something I encourage that you use every day, and I'm not just saying it so you'll get a hold of me to buy it. It's called On Guard.
Yes, On Guard. That is by doTERRA. And I will tell you this. When you're flying overseas, you had better have some, they have the little small beadlets, and they also have the lozenges, and they have the rub. And that will prevent you from getting shit when you're flying into, and I mean this, Afghanistan or Iraq, and wherever you're going, and I'm about to bounce again soon, Well, you know this.
Right.
It will prevent you from picking up the nasties that these third world people carry with themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
My
So
two
on,
cents.
so on guard, this is what you get with on guard. You have the lozengers. Um, you have the roller bottle, the 10 milliliter roller bottle, and then if you do it right, you can get the 15 milliliter to go ahead and restock the 10.
Yep.
Here's the key to success with on guard. You put it on the bottom of your feet.
Yep.
Your feet's going to be your major. It's going to be your major intake for these essential oils that we're discussing. And I know you're thinking, man, you know what? This is really going to be bad because you're talking about being gone for a little bit. No, I'm just talking quite a while. I'm talking for a little bit.
Right.
Because it's going to happen. Much like when we've been overseas, you go to these little, as Mr. Trump called it, shitholes. They're shitholes for a reason. Because many of the diseases that run rampant in these places, they've been eradicated here in our country for years.
Yeah.
And they're very, very rampant. And this is the kind of stuff that helps you stay well, helps you stay alert, helps you stay de-stressed. Well, gosh, Deanna, where am I going to put that in my pack? It's easy. Just go ahead, head over to Amazon. You can get all kinds of little containers, carriers, and stuff to go ahead and stash that in. You can always have your loved ones. Kaiser's getting ready to go, and he's getting ready to go and play in the mountains. And I'm sure that you're going to be getting some care packages. It's going to have some doTERRA oils in it for you to be able to go ahead and keep ahead of everything. But this is really important that you go ahead and you keep this stuff, because we have friends who have used On Guard oil for the last 2 years and never once have they caught the flu. And when you use this on a regular basis, you get up in the morning and you have a literal error in your step. And these are the little things that makes it really important for you to do. We're going to go ahead, change gears here a little bit.
Let's go and talk about some of the bad product that I want you to, because we've already covered this offline, I want you to go ahead and I've got to grab something real quick. I want you to cover what we were talking about the bad snake oil that FEMA and CERT talks about, i.e. what not to carry, even though we know as a common sense people what to carry. If you understand what I mean. If you don't, please let me know.
I got you. So, they don't want you to carry any weapons. And when we're talking weapons, you're not allowed to bring your M4 with you. You're not allowed to bring your M14. You're not allowed to bring your Garand with you because you're there in an aid of capacity. If for some reason or another you need to go, there are different tools that you can take. And for those of us who have served, you already know what I'm talking about. I'm not sure where every other state stands in the grand scheme of things. Here in the state of Ohio, the max size folding knife that you're allowed to have is 4 inches in length. Knives are not a prying tool by any stretch of the imagination. You can always go ahead and get the little pry bars like for ammo crates and stuff like that if you want to throw 1 or 2 in your bag for you to be able to go ahead peek around door jams and stuff. If you're trying to move something up and down, you can always go ahead and get a look. If you're trying to look into a crate, you really don't want to totally breach it and make it look like someone's been there. You can always get the little peekaboo bars is what I like to call them. And that allows, I think they're called super bars. These are not, they aren't prohibitively heavy, but they allow you to be able to go ahead and move things and be able to be a little bit more advanced with some things. I have different size knives that I carry. I don't carry a Spyderco. So I carry Strider related edged weapons with me. These are fat. These are thick. They're meant to do a job. They're meant to be there all the time. They do not give up an edge when things start to get tough. CERT has a tendency to be really, really crazy freaky about these things. So if you do have them, I always carry a knife. Always. Rule number 9, I think it is.
Yeah.
Always carry a knife. That is the one thing that can separate you between going home and going to the morgue. And if you know how to use it, the best way, I think it was you that sent me a video one time. They were talking about guns and knife fights and everything. I think it was you sent me the video. The guy said, "How do you avoid a knife fight? You run the opposite direction."
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with this. That allows you to safely evacuate yourself from a situation where you don't have to go ahead and make that fateful decision to take, a more serious action in the situation. Now, am I foolish to believe that in some people's CERT bags, you won't find a revolver and probably about 100 rounds of extra ammo with them? Am I foolish to believe that you won't find that in someone's bag? Not at all. Think about Narlands.
Yeah.
Think about Sandy. You're out there. You don't dial 911 because you're there because dial 911's all tied up.
Yeah, it's completely tied up.
It's completely tied up. You have no street lights. You can't phone a friend. You can't phone mama because mama's not coming out to help you. So these are things that I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you to put them in your bag, but I am going to tell you that it wouldn't in the least bit surprise me if there was a random inspection and someone had to dump their bag. Would that stuff be found in there? Yeah, more than likely. Would I blame them? Absolutely not.
And I don't think any police officer who's worth their salt would think differently. And it's not just in your bag. Let's say you have a 357, and I am a fan of the Rossi 357 lever action because it's not an assault weapon, and you can actually put the round in once you jack the chamber open because it's a lever action. You can actually put the round in for, you got to think, you're going in confined spaces. There might be a snake. There might be anything in there. And let's say, there's somebody under there, and all of a sudden the snake's about to bite them. There's something called a 38 snake shot. And the thing with a revolver is you can do the same thing. But 357 also will give you enough stopping power to stop a bear who's about to attack somebody somewhere. Same with the 10mm Glock, but the problem is, and I've seen this, right now, and all of us have seen this, magazine capacity, all of a sudden everybody's going to say, oh, it's an assault weapon. But we're all going to find out that that's all muff fake, and thankfully people who are in charge understand that this is all muff fake and it's not real. I mean, the only people that think this is real are people who have been totally indoctrinated. Unfortunately, like I said, California leads the way, always has, always will. And it's a whole different atmosphere. If you have a lever action rifle that can, I'm not talking some big long barreled one, I'm saying like a trapper barreled one. And that way you're able to take care of something that might crawl out, the creepy crawlies. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And it might protect somebody's life if all of a sudden you're pulling somebody out and they're like, Well, what are you going to do for me? And maybe they're not hurt, but this person is. Your job is to protect that life. And it doesn't matter why, you have to protect that life. And that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. So these are little things for those of us that make kickboxing, a little bit of jiu-jitsu, which I don't do. I do stick you is what I use. I'll be straight in front. Don't make me choose because I'm going to practice a little bit of stick you, and I'm not afraid to stick you. So my grandfather came from the old country, and that's what our family name was famous for. We made edged weapons, and that was the bottom line. So the stick you is pretty strong in this one. I don't ever want to have to do that to anybody, but I've been to many places to get hurt by someone here at home. So these are just it's just a little bit of a taste in the grand scheme of things that has to be considered when you go to do these things. Sometimes some of the things you want to carry. Now, if you're going to take your pack and you're going to go do some training, just leave all the extra stuff because you're going to go. And whatever the training is, they're going to have plenty of tools and whatnot there to be able to go ahead and take care of it. If you roll out and you find out that literal shit has hit the fan and you're there to help a number of people, you may want to consider taking a few things along just to make sure that you're taken care of, because the minute that you become a liability and you become a part of the cog of the wheel that doesn't work, I'm going to call you back.
Well,
they're not going to come back.
The funniest part was we had a flood in Cincinnati one time. It was in the 90s. And I got mobilized for the National Guard. And it was so funny. I put a revolver in my thing with different ammunition because I know what I'm looking at. I get down there and I luckily had a friend that I linked up with at that time who was a Cincinnati cop. And he's like, yeah, put it on your hip. I know why you have it. And he's like, and this before we had a concealed carry thing in Ohio. And he's like, put it on your hip. If something breaks out, then you have your choice of how to deal with it. And he didn't mean like some freak show things happening. He meant, you know, if you're going to go into something, and this is me in the National Guard. And that's the whole thing that nobody sees. It's a revolver and a lever action. Those two things, they're not anything other than protective devices. And yet they will always say that's a problem. But if you say that's a problem, then here's what you're saying is a problem. You're saying the problem is the decision where I could have carried a AR. I could have, you know, and it just boggles my mind. But thankfully, I didn't have to do that, and I was able to have some autonomy. And honestly, the military and everybody else with shotguns and everything else, for that little portion, they need to give people autonomy of carry. And that's my 2 cents. And that's where I'll stand on that.
Okay. I definitely do you know, believe in and agree with that. So I'm not sure where we're at with this on time, but there are a couple more things I do want to go ahead and touch.
Well, hit them.
If for some reason or another, cell phone carriers are still up and running at the time, make sure that you have a way to be able to go ahead and independently and you're not covering for your friend who forgot theirs and fucked up, bring your own battery pack for your cell phone.
Yep.
Don't bring one, just bring two. I carry one with me. I have one here at the house. If I have to go somewhere, it's very heavy. That's why I don't carry it every day. And if you bunk up at night, chances are really good they're going to have a place for you to plug in and charge everything up. I have one of my batteries that I carry in my tactical briefcase. It has a it's a solar charge. It's not meant. Its sole purpose is not to charge that entire battery, but it's meant to keep it topped off.
Yeah.
So in time, if I have to use it when I'm out somewhere, I go ahead, I secure it to my pack. That allows me to keep it topped off, especially say like if we stop for took a 30-minute break and found out my phone was down a little bit further than where I wanted it to be. I went ahead and I hooked it up, and I went ahead and I put a charge on it, and then I put it away so it didn't get damaged, and we started working again. Make sure that you have that ability to have at least 2 batteries with you to take care of that. Speaking of batteries, you know what else you need batteries for? Flashlights.
Yep.
I saw one. You know, I kind of laughed the other day. I saw someone refer to it as a miner's light. So, with the advent of the LED light bulb, this is extended battery life now. At this point, to a place where it's a lot easier to get more out of nothing than what you had before.
Yep.
So definitely make sure that you have a couple of lights with you. Make sure you have one for your head. Make sure that you have one for your hand. I know I saw someone, I forget who it is. Someone's making a it's just like for a police officer now. You wear it on your opposite hand for when you go ahead and you pull that if you have to draw, you activate it on the side of your hand. You're not trying to hold this underneath of the weapon or anything.
Right.
And I think it's pretty expensive, about $300-400. So I wouldn't expect to find that in a CERT pack anywhere because that's pretty expensive for a what if kind of a thing. CERT will go ahead and issue you a something like a Coleman lantern that you put 4 double A's in. So go ahead, bring extra batteries. Count on those batteries lasting probably, I'd say, about 4 hours tops. If they start to get dim at all, beg off, get out of the situation that you're in, take your light with you, get somewhere, use your personal light. Yes, I'm talking a personal light. I'm not talking a light that you give to anyone else for anything, period, whatsoever.
Right.
These are tools that you don't share. That's like sharing your underwear.
Right.
Share your underwear. You don't share your freaking flashlights. Why? Because you need that. That's your tool. It's important that you have all of your tools, and your flashlights are the most important tool that you're going to carry because you're going to be able to use it in the daytime too. You have a lot of different ways that you can use that in the daytime. You can use it as a signaling device. If you're stuck at doing traffic patrol of any kind whatsoever, directing traffic in a situation, you know those real nice expensive gloves that I was talking about.
Yep.
The armors that have those, have the safety orange back to them,
Yep.
and then that red palm to them, for stopping traffic. Sometimes people, they don't always focus on what's going on around them, and they'll be looking the other way. Your ability to be able to go ahead and signal them with that light for them, you'd be amazed. Someone's distracted, just see that little flashlight there pinging them. All of a sudden, they're going to wake up and they're going to take a look and they're going to see what's going on. Yep. So you've got to have these things. You have to have it together. Like I said, we'll go ahead. I picked one up at Cabela's this last Christmas for $15. It's Streamlight. It's a AAA. I think the batteries last like 6.5, 8 hours, 2 AAAs. I'm not saying Dano did not tell you to bring 15 pounds of batteries to whatever incident that you're going to. I want you to think about it for a little bit because as a volunteer, you're not always going to be able to stay for the total time.
Well,
you have to stay.
That's a perfect point you brought up. I'll never forget. I had an old, and I still have it, an old visor clip that would go on your visor of your baseball hat, and it was green in color.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, of course, I was doing we had a missile fly in, and this was 2010, I think it was, in Iraq. Maybe 2009. I mean, it might have been 2009 because that was the last time I officially worked for the U.S. government. But the funny thing was me and a Navy SEAL, we're both doing the Wuju magic of, and that's what we call it, Wuju magic, of finding out what direction the missile came from. And so we're doing this, and it hit a water bladder. It was unexploded. And we're doing this shit just, for whatever. And EOD came out later to render safe. But the funny part was, this thing hit this water bladder, and we're trying to figure out which direction it came from. And the Wuju magic came out where we were actually correct on where it came from. And it was during the elections. Yeah, it was during the elections of 2010 or 2009 in Iraq. And the thing that gets me is, you're exactly right. I would turn my head with my green light on my thing, and people would back away because they were like, okay, why are these people there? And we were riding in Hiluxes. And it's a pickup truck by Toyota that you won't find in the U.S. And we had a sweet Toyota, and we just laughed about this stuff. But you're exactly correct. It's a different color, and they're like, why is this color there? And I remember seeing people turn just because they saw a different color light happening.
Right. The other thing I'm going to advise, Browning has a real nice clip. Somehow I lost my Browning light clip from my hat. Don't ask me how I did it, but I managed to do it. Browning, the gun manufacturer, clothing manufacturer, we all know Browning high power.
Right.
The weapon that Saddam Hussein took down into the spider hole with him.
Yeah.
They have really, really great lights that clip onto the bill of your hat.
Yep.
Don't hesitate to get one or two, or throw extra batteries in your pack. Again, I'm not telling you, don't pack 15 pounds of batteries. That's going to kill you. If you have to learn a block or two, all this crap battle rattle you don't want, it's just going to weigh you down. It's going to make you tired. It's going to make you poop out before everyone else, and they're not going to ask you to come back. Really, honestly, that's what it's all going to come down to. The other thing I'm going to advise that you do, bring sunglasses. Sunglasses, for those of us that have spent any great time, I know what happened to my eyes when I came out of the skin of the boat, being in the South Pacific. Kaisers asked me a couple times, it's been relatively overcast, and he'll look at me and he'll say, are you wearing your sunglasses at night? And yes, as a matter of fact, I am, because my eyes are that much. So this is real stuff. Your flashlights. One of the things that you want to go ahead, if you're able to go ahead and get for the bill of your hat, if you can get a red light or a green light. Green lights are really good. Ultraviolet lights are really good too. If they tell you that you're trying to track someone, if they think that there's a victim, if you're doing any kind of a light search and rescue, you're looking for people that may be hurt, people that may be bleeding in some way, shape, or form, that ultraviolet light's going to go ahead and help you be able to have that. I'm not telling you what kind to buy. I'm telling you as a generality to have those.
Yeah.
I told you about my Streamlight double, my Streamlight AAA double battery light that I got at $15 at Christmas time. They are like $25, something like that now online. But that's my light. That isn't a light that I give to anyone else. Now, I do want to go ahead and highlight one other thing, because I know we're running a little long here, is that while Surefire makes a really great battle-ready weapon, Surefire will suck the life out of those batteries, and those batteries are expensive.
With
if you're using
quickness, 1, 2, 3 batteries are very expensive.
They will go through CR123 batteries. A dozen is going to probably run you anywhere from $16 to $20 a dozen. You figure that on the low side, that battery might last you 90 minutes in a Surefire. Go out to Walmart. Go get yourself a Rayovac aluminum battle hardened light.
Yep.
And that's gonna you're not gonna have a CR123 light in it or anything like that. But what you are gonna have is you're gonna be able to use a AAA or a AA battery, 1 or 2 in there, and that's gonna stretch it probably pretty much of the night for you, anywhere from 6, maybe 7.5 hours, maybe tops. But still, you know, you're going to resupply in the daytime. They're not going to leave you out like for mail buoy watch or sonar buoy watch or CBAT duty, you know, like the guys out on the boats were sometimes. Yeah. But you're not going to do anything like that, because they're going to bring in, because they know that you're going to get tired. So really, the grand scheme of things, one thing, I always keep this at my desk. I keep a bag of heat shrink. Someone's going to say, Dana, what does heat shrink have to do with the time of day? There's a couple of reasons that you keep heat shrink in different sizes. Also, make sure you take at least 50 foot of 550 cord with you.
Yeah.
That's a great thing for your personal use. If you start to do any kind of real search and rescue, and I know some of the guys on the USAR team here in Central Ohio, they like to carry extension cords.
Yep. At
why?
Least 50 foot.
At least 50 foot. And why, Dano, are you going to ask why you want to carry an extension cord? An extension cord to the copper does not break.
That's right. And the funniest part is when you mentioned that, it brought up to mind the old Energizer tactical hard case. And the funny thing about it is, when I went on my mission in Indonesia, I carried that with me. And the funniest part about it is, as I carried it, it has several features, the old style. I don't think they do it now. But I could actually follow blood trails and this, that, and the other.
Right.
So, you know, people need to realize that Rayovac, Energizer, these companies are trying to compete, and they're American companies.
Right.
And that's all I'm saying.
Right.
Hopefully I'm adding something to the conversation, not deleting. But what I'm saying is, we are, when we talk about this stuff, it's not like we haven't used it. You know, Andrew Vima, he, the Austrian who is in Singapore, he knows I did this for him, and so many people know what I did for him, and so many people know I didn't bring him on because he was what he was. And but still people are ass hurt, and all I'm saying is, do not get ass hurt. If I don't bring you on, that means I'm the one getting fucked, not you.
So the other thing I am going to advise is this, is that with those extra batteries, if you're doing search and rescue, if you can get a couple 25-foot extension cords, don't try to carry them all yourself. Share the load with everyone else on Don't be He-Man. He-Man wore out, is not worth anything.
Yep.
I mentioned heat shrink. I'm also going to tell you to bring a small cigarette lighter. I'm also going to tell you to bring a pair of medical scissors.
Yep.
You
Always.
see them. Always bring, and you don't have to have a big pair. I have a small pair that I keep with multi-tool. I have an old school Gerber 600 before they put all the locks on them and everything. A multi-tool like that with pliers on the end of it. Yeah, you don't have to break out your whole toolkit to make things work sometimes. You just need a little bit, maybe like a sheepfoot's knife, be able to get the job done. It's really no big deal. You can open that up, pull it out. Make sure you bring a little something to sharpen any of your edged things that you bring with you. No, I'm not telling you to sharpen your scissors. Not at all. Don't do that. Yeah. For some reason or another, something starts to happen. It becomes labor intensive. Do not use your $400 Strider knife to cut boxes.
Right.
Bring a box cutter with you. Put 6 replaceable blades in them, and make sure that you bring like a 6-in-1 screwdriver with you from over at Home Depot or over at Lowe's that cost you $4, and it doesn't matter to you if you accidentally lose them or something happens. Someone absconds with it. You can catch them at the bar later on and take it back from them. But what I'm telling you is at least 550 cord for yourself. That's to secure your own deal. If you have to make any kind of a unique rope attachment that you put on a piece of a tool or something that's assigned to you or your own, that you know that you don't want to accidentally lose, you drop it, you're in a pile of rocks.
Yeah.
Team's not going to help you look for your tool. It's up to you to be able to have that thing attached to your body so you don't lose it. And so with that 550 cord, you can go ahead, fashion different things, go ahead and make that work for you. The heat shrink is a great way for you to be able to go ahead and save things sometimes. If they accidentally break, I like to use heat shrink on some of my 550 knots and stuff that I use. So definitely I'll think about.
You're stellar. Look, I will tell you something that's so funny. Well, you've been to my house, so you know what I'm saying. I have a Kifaru NE bag. It's small as hell. And it has everything I would need if I wanted to do it. And when I deploy, I take it with me. Everything from a seatbelt cutter, because that might be problematic in a helicopter. Trust me, when you go overseas, you're flying with whoever. But the one thing that you said that's very correct, and it also is a seatbelt cutter, and it serves many purposes. You can shove it in your boot when you're flying military, mil-air, not civ-air, civilian air. You can shove the small scissors in that will still do the same thing. And the funniest part is I'm going to give a shout out to some place that I know because I've been there. I'll give it to 2 places actually. One will be Cap City Outfitters. If you're from Ohio and you're around the Columbus area, Cap City Outfitters is stellar. And the other place that I'll tell you, people have to look at if they're from that same general area, General Merchandise.
Okay.
They carry stuff, and you'll find stuff, and you'll be like, what? Where'd you get this? And trust me, I've found some stuff from places that I've worked, and I cannot even believe they have it. So that's my 2 cents on that. And I know you have to go, man, but I also have to say Dan is not playing around. He's more humble than I am, He is a good man. And what I'll tell you is that this conversation you got, these are conversations we have had. So you just got a glimpse, a little intimate thing that we talk about all the time. And yet, you just got a glimpse into it. And I thank you for coming on, Dan. You did not need to do this.
Oh, no, absolutely. I love it. This is, this gave us the opportunity to take some of our talks that we've had along the way. Let's see here. I want to make sure I didn't lose anything here along the way. Sunglasses. If you have prescription sunglasses,
yes. do
not wear your $900 Ray-Bans.
Right.
I have a pair of Ray-Bans that I wear. They are script. They are bifocal. I am old. I have a gray beard for a reason,
Yeah, same here, baby. Same here, baby.
So you have pair of glasses, reading glasses that you're able to wear if you have to start reading maps or anything like that, or they all of a sudden decide they're going to put you at a desk. Have a good pair of backup glasses that have a current script in it. Yep. Well, Dan, I'm just going to run over here and grab my old pair out of there. Well, how many times back how many years old is that script? You're going to use the wrong pair of glasses. You're going to sit down. You're going to have a migraine. You're going to be sitting here. You're going to be saying, God damn it, Dano said to put all this oil on my head and on this migraine would go away. Guys, you only use a little bit of oil at a time, maybe 1, maybe 2 drops.
Yep.
You're not oiling up to get a suntan. You're oiling up just to get a little bit of relief. But the point that I'm trying to make is that with your glasses, please make sure your script is current. The other thing I am going to tell you is if you have hypertension, make sure that when you go to get your annual eye exam, have them take a picture of your eye. I went this, let's see here, this will be my 3rd year now that I've had a picture of my eyeball taken. And our family has a history of sight issues. And they can look at your blood vessels inside of your eyes and they can tell you about how much hypertension you may or may not have. Yep. So...
No, you're exactly correct. And also, if you're going to deploy overseas, the pair of glasses I wear now, and I have new ones coming, always with those people, because the glasses I'm wearing now, I got them in Dubai, and it was because my glasses, I had a piece of shit steal them from me because he thought they were cool or whatever. And when I was coming home, I did that 1 day, 1 hour lens crafters thing. And the funny thing was I'm in Dubai, and within an hour I got my glasses. But it was only because I had them give me all my information. And so in Dubai at the airport, remember the airport's like a mall in Dubai, right. And of course I paid $700 for these fucking glasses.
Oh man, yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah, well, I was making coin, but the funny thing is, this is what you need to understand. Carry your prescription with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hit it on the nail, and that's what needs to happen. That's my 2 cents.
Something else. Get a 1 to 2 gig thumb drive.
Yep.
Put your sensitive documents on it. We'll talk about RFID another night.
Yes, we will.
Get a 1 to 2 gig thumb drives. Thumb drives, man, I remember when 8 gigs was like $65, $75.
Right.
I mean, you're talking like you're talking a lot now. A lot more information. Get it, put it on a thumb drive. Make sure that you have a copy of all of your personal papers. If you're getting ready to deploy, I don't have to tell you exactly what needs to be on that thumb drive. If you're ever in a situation, you're part of your bug out bag should be, if you ever need it, make sure that you have a copy of your important information on that thumb drive. This includes social security card. This includes your birth certificate card. This includes your medical insurance information. Push comes to shove, you can take pictures of these. You can go ahead and with your phone, you can go ahead, transfer them into your computer through email, and you can go ahead and upload it onto a thumb drive. Anything that shows anything important that if all of a sudden you had to walk out the door for some ungodly reason, and you know that you can't stack 15 pounds of paper with you, put it on your thumb drive.
Yep.
Keep it secured to you, just like it's as important as your cell phone. Safeguard. We'll talk about RFD one night. Way to lock things down. By the way, I picked up a $35 flat TSA approved gun safe the other night for $10. So
that's good stuff. Hey, if you guys think we went off topic, you need to realize we didn't, because everything we covered actually is what CERT should cover.
Yep, there's a lot of this stuff that CERT doesn't cover. A lot of it. We're not telling you to bring a nuclear bomb, a bazooka, a law missile launcher with you, anything like that. We're not telling you to bring Rambo's limited edition buck knife and everything. I am going to tell you, though, that some of these small, stupid things, even a tape measure, even an 8-foot tape measure will make a difference. Yep. If you have the ability to bring a small construction square with you, even a torpedo level, that can make all the difference in the world. And this stuff will not make you weigh an additional 100 pounds. But if you need it for some stupid reason or another, you're going to have that stuff there. Carpenter pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carpenter pencil. Don't sharpen them until you need them, because that's a great. Carpenter pencils will break extremely easy. Bring 2 carpenter pencils with you, because if there's a collapse, and if all of a sudden they put you in charge of running the cut table, and for some reason or another the guy walks away and takes the pencil and you don't have a pencil, you need to be able to walk over to your pack, open it up, pull out your carpenter pencil, pull out your utility knife, not your Strider knife, your $400 TNG knife. Don't do that, because I'm sure Mick Strider would like to come and slap you upside the head for being dumb.
Well, see, I've only ever carried Robert and Pelton's knives, except for I will shill the hell out of them. Robert and Pelton designed the Hest and the Hest F. Those 2 knives, I think, they're not long knives. It's not like it's like some, whatever. But what I will tell you that I do know about them is that they will handle anything you have to do, and always carry a sharpener, because it doesn't matter if it's coming from line steel or not. You're gonna have to sharpen any blade you have. Keep it sharp. Don't open here's something people who are stupid don't realize, is that do not try to open corrugated cardboard boxes with the knives, because it's the quickest way to make them dull.
That's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
That's what I said earlier. I did. I said that earlier.
I know you did. When you said bring a razor knife with you.
Bring a razor knife with you. Bring 6 to 8 extra blades with you.
Yeah.
This is going to save you a lot of money. We'll go ahead. We'll cover some stuff another night.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and definitely roll with it. But you have a lot of different things and a lot of different great places that you can go ahead and get additional things at CountyCom.
Yep.
I'm sure you've heard that CountyCom,
Yep.
all hands, calling all hands, CountyCom. If anything that we've talked about tonight, you know what you can find there. If you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to, drop us a line, shoot us an email. Always happy to go ahead and get you hooked up with it. Then again, I know many of the people that are listening to this are really brilliant people. They'll be able to go ahead and be able to do that Google search or whatever search it is that you do for CountyCom. They have a lot of great stuff on here. It isn't cheap. You get what you pay for. CountyCom has some really awesome stuff. They have great things on here. Remember, we were talking about pry bars earlier. Remember, I told you don't take your $400, $500, $600 Strider TNG, the folder, the one that makes that you paid all that money for, to peek in there. They got pry bars at CountyCom. Nope, they didn't know I was going to do this. Trust and believe.
I believe.
They have pry bars that you're able to go ahead and open and push stuff up with. So you can go ahead and take a look. There's all kinds of cool things on there at CountyCom. A lot of different lights. I'm noticing that they went ahead and they put a whole new compass out, which is really different. I just first time I've been on this site in a long time, and I think they're sold out already. So if you ever go to CountyCom and all of a sudden you find out that they're out of their, looks like they have anodized companion compasses. They were $20. They did a limited pre-order run, a limited run of 25 each, but these are basically SERE compasses, and it looks like you had a choice color of burnt orange, blackout gray, neon green, racer red, and hot pink. So we'll talk about some of this stuff another night, but as far as CERT goes, don't hesitate to, if you find your local EMA is going to go ahead and do a course, get involved with it. It doesn't hurt anything. It's always good to know what your local government has going on, because here's what's going to happen. They're going to give you a threat assessment. Your local emergency management team here in all 88 counties here in the state of Ohio, of which Kaiser and I both support all 88 sheriffs in each of these counties. Don't forget about the shirts that Kaiser told you about, because he's going to kick that back to you before he jumps off the air here. But what's going to happen is your local emergency management team, in conjunction with the sheriff and other agencies in your county, conduct a threat assessment each year of what they deem to be the most prevalent threat that's going to be faced on a 5 and a 10-year, 15 and 20-year projection.
Yep.
So it's all there. I'm not bullshitting you, kids. If you think you got to come along for the ride to CERT, you're going to learn a lot of great stuff. Just go ahead and give it a shot. It doesn't cost you anything. It's all free. It's all part of your tax dollars. It's your money.
It's like I say, yo, what's up, kids? You gotta, it's so hilarious when I think about stuff that if you do not realize what you're looking at, and Dan does, so do I, and when we say, yo, what's up, kids, that means wake up. It's all about waking up, because right now what you're seeing is a massive shutting of YouTube channels. Alex Jones.
Yep.
And yeah, he didn't stand by anybody in the right other than what he thought was the right.
Right.
And there's other people we know that didn't stand by people. And guess what? They're going to get shutting. And it's sad to me, because nobody realizes if we don't stand together, we're all going to stand apart, and we're all going to hang apart.
True. Very true. Well, guys, we'll go ahead. We'll cover some.
We're going to shut it down.
Yes, sir.
Love you big. You know that, brother.
Absolutely, bro.
I'll talk to you here in a few. All right. God bless. And by the way, thank you for taking a seat in the big orange couch that is in Kaisers Castle. Bye.